Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back, Don's Hot Rod Garage. This just be a quick video, just to acknowledge a small milestone in my channel, Don's Hot Rod Garage. We hit 5,000 people out there, just as crazy as me. We hit 5,000 subs, so that's pretty daggone neat. You know, when I first started my channel, I had it for a while before I started posting any videos. I'd do one like once a year or something like that, and I had like 18 subscribers. And it was just all family members that subbed my channel. So now to think that I have 5,000 subscribers, ain't much change. You guys are still family members to me, and I really appreciate that. So, this is just the very start of the channel. I've really been posting for maybe a year and a half. And when I first started my channel, it was kind of like during like the COVID year where, work was kind of down. I mean, everybody was still kind of moving along, but we was kind of like strapped down. And now we're like free flowing, like full boost, full send, to where it's a lot harder for me to get videos out, but I still do what I can when I can, when I'm not doing something else. So hopefully the channel will continue to grow, and I've met so many cool people along the way. I enjoy all the comments, because if you look through any one of my videos, I have commented back on every single video, just because, like, I'm putting the videos out there, and I don't think it's right to just, do a little star, or not a star, but a little heart response. If I feel like somebody's just saying, thanks, and I'll say, thanks back to them. But for the most part, 99.999, I respond to every single one of them. So it does mean a lot to me, the channel and all the people that I've met along the way. And a lot of people might not think there's still cool old cars out there, but there's still a lot of cool old cars out there that people have either bought new or bought when they was fairly new, and have had them cars for 40, 50 years. So there's still a lot of cool cars out there, and I've discovered that through my channel, and I've known it, because I talk to people. I'm not, I like to talk to people. I don't just kind of just play on the computer. I like to actually talk to people and listen to their stories and stuff. So anyways, thank you guys so much. If you're one of the people that has subscribed to my channel, it does really, truly mean a lot to me. So kind of just a couple quick things, and then I'll let you go. So, really haven't been doing nothing in the garage. I'll back up a little bit, but you can see this crater on the driveway. That's my daughter's car, my oldest daughter's car, and it's a Honda CR-V. And it just had this oil leak, and I told her, when the weather gets warmer, I'm going to figure that out, because everywhere she's parked, it marks its territory. So what that ended up being, it's what I did Sunday. I found out where the oil leak was. What that ended up being was the spoon valve. It's a car just like this, but a green one. It's the spoon valve. It's a solenoid for the VTEC on the engine, and it has a little O-ring that's kind of like in a weird little shape on the back of the spoon valve, where it bolts to the head. And these newer cars they're destined to fail as good as they are, because everything's got little O-rings in it, and they go flat over time. And where that was high up on the cylinder, or on the block, to where once it started leaking down, it would leak on the oil pressure sensor, leak on the oil filter, and then fall down onto the front half shaft and just sling oil all over the front of the engine. So it took me like 2 hours to figure that out, but I'm hoping I got that figured out. And in my truck, we about thrown in on the towel on her. I put another new set of plugs in it yesterday. I put the NGK plugs in it. What do you guys think about for that hard hat? That's one cool guy that one of our customers got me that hard hat. And it's so nice I never even used it. I just let it sit there. So anyways, I put plugs in the truck, and you know, we still haven't figured that out yet, but hopefully that will be no longer, because I'm probably going to get this driveway done this year. So to anybody that's new on my channel, just real quick on these cars, this 55 Chevy convertible, I've done a tremendous amount of work to it, and it still is a work in progress. And when I got this car, it was essentially just a shell. I mean, no stainless, no glass, just the shell, no interior. I had to find the front and the back seat for it, which a convertible is specific to only a convertible. You can trim a hardtop seat down, but it's still, if you really know what you're looking at, still not a convertible seat. So that car I've had since January of 2019, and it was just a shell. I mean, didn't have no nose on it, had the doors in the trunk lid, no side trim, no bumpers. So I've tracked down a lot of stuff for that car. And this one right here, this car come from Ohio, Northeast Ohio. This car originally was sold, I do believe, in Winchester, Virginia. I got it out of Elkins, West Virginia. And I believe the guy I got this car from bought it from the original owner. And the guy I got it from, he said he saw this car, or how he saw this car, it was under a lean-to, and the guy worked for the railroad company, and he would drive down the railroad tracks, and he seen this car sitting under the lean-to. And I got this car in July of 2017. So we're coming up on almost 6 years I've had this car. And it looked pretty much just like this when I got it. I put a motor, a transmission in it, a posi rear end. I put the wheels on it, front bumper. But all of this, all the die cast on this car, that's all original to this car. This is how I bought it. The interior, everything. But I had to give a good chunk of money for this car when I bought it. And this one right here, I got this car from, it was up in Monroe, Michigan. And this is an old gasser. It was a freezing cold day in February. I actually got this car about 4 or 5 months before I got this car. And I have found so much for this car. Like the glass and all the stuff that's black, all that was on there. I found the nose. I found the die cast for it. I put the wheels on it. It actually had the motor in it. Let me pull this up real quick. It actually had the engine in it when I got this car. It didn't have the carburetor on it, but that old Offenhauser intake. This is how this engine was set up in here. And this is a 1970. It was cast in, I want to think, November or December of 69. This is a 1970 LS6. And when I got it, when I went to look at it, it had transmission fluid like dumped all over where the distributor goes in, and the spark plugs and stuff. They was all out of it, laying up on the intake. And I asked the guy if it turned over, because, you know, it's an old race car. It could have been blown up, you know. And he said, yeah, it turned over. So I took his word for it. And when I got it home, it would only turn over a little bit. You know, it wouldn't turn a full revolution. So I dropped the oil pan on it. I dropped the oil pan on the motor. And what had happened is, you know, whether it got water down on the oil pan or what, it had pushed up the windage tray where the throw of the crank was hitting the windage tray. So I looked at the numbers on the crank, and I believe it was a 7515 crank or something like that, if I'm remembering the numbers right. And that comes out to like a ZL1 crankshaft. So I'm thinking, wow, I got that car's got a 427 in it, you know. And I never wanted to fire it up just because I didn't know what condition the motor was. So I ended up pulling that engine out of this car and took it up to Bob Beach to have rebuilt. But when I pulled the engine out and I took the heads off, it still had the TRW, the original forged pistons in it, and it had LS6 pistons with a 427 crank. I mean, the pistons was that far from coming up to the top of the deck. So somebody must have blown up the LS6 and then thought they could put a 427 crank in there, which you got to change the pistons if you run a, 427 crank. 454 pistons aren't going to work. So at that point, I fully rebuilt the motor. And the guy Bob, he's 81 or 2 years old. I remember him telling me how unique it was and how cool it was to see something that had bearings in it, rod bearings and main bearings from 1972. And I told him this thing's been sitting, for that long. And then the heads are the 291 square port heads, and they've been really worked. They would have come stock with a 219 valve. They've got a 225 intake valve, 225 intake, and a 188 exhaust. I mean, this car right here is just, it's way too much for that combination. It really is. And it's got the stock 55 rear end in it, so you couldn't really even try to launch it real hard, or it's just gonna puke its guts out. The rear end's just gonna drop. So I've played around with it driving around, but it's never had any kind of burnout to where you could really try to launch it, because it'll just blow the rear end. So this car's just sitting here. And the story that I got with it when I first got this car was the old guy that had it, it was in a chicken coop, and it was all covered. You couldn't even tell what it was. And he never let anybody back there to know what the car was. And it's got some really unique stuff to it. But like when I got it, it didn't have... This whole lock mechanism was gone, where you could reach in there and unlock it. Like, I think the guy was really worried about somebody stealing this car from him. So he always hid it. And like the cross member, I can't get down there right now, but I'll show you guys at some point. The cross member has like a slide door that slides over and actually has a locking cylinder where you can't unbolt the transmission from the cross member. Just real cool stuff from, back in the day. So that's a little bit about this car. And I'm doing this in case you're new to the channel. So for the most part, this car come like this, other than it had a black nose, a fiberglass tilt nose, and it had one bench seat in there, or one bucket seat. I put the original Nomad bench seat in it. But that's a little story on that. And this, I'm sure a lot of you guys know, but that engine right there is 55 265. That Bob Beach did that one also. And that's kind of hopped up. One guy wanted the cam card information. I don't know. It's back there somewhere. I'll have to get it. But yeah, that car was hidden in a chicken coop in Monroe, Michigan. The guy put it in there in 1973. And like I said, this one, I think I'm the third owner of it. This one right here, I believe, was just in a garage up in Northeast Ohio for a long time. And it didn't have no nose or anything. And this car right here, this 57 Nomad, it was my younger brother's car that I had bought from him. This car come from Strongsville, Ohio, kind of up by Cleveland. Old guy Leo had this, and he had it for a really long time. He was going to restore it. He started to fix it. And then he bought a really, really nice black 57 Nomad. So this one just set. And if you look through some of my videos, you can see what shape this car was in when I got it. It was kind of all tore apart. It was original yellow, then had been painted silver. So all I've done is just strip it down and then just try to make it complete. So when I go to work on it, everything, I won't have to look for any random parts. You know, with it, I'll still need stuff, but for the most part, you can kind of see what you're missing. So anyways, guys, that's a little small update. Saying that guy wanted to, sorry for holding you guys up for a minute, but let's see if this has got the cam card in it still, because he wanted to know what it should have the cam card in here. Yeah, here we go. So right here, this is the camshaft that's in that 55-265. It's a hydraulic, 450 lift, 264 duration, 108 lobe separate, or 108 lobe center, 50 thousandths duration. That's a pretty solid little camshaft right there. And obviously you get into the big block Chevys and the Fords, and they got quite a bit more lift. But 450 lift, that's a pretty good. So hopefully that helps out. He wanted to know exactly what it was. And it's an Enski Mega Cam. So maybe one day we'll hear that engine come to life. We'll hear it talk to us. I just got to free up some time at work and get these daily drivers to where they're happy. Get mama where she's happy. Get it where daddy's happy. All right. So anyways, getting kind of chilly out here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I really wanted to just do that just to talk to you guys, and if you're new to the channel, show you where we're at. So anyways, there's still even more cars. I still have a 56 Nomad that I just don't have nowhere to put, but really wanting to bring that car home. So anyways, they're just all hanging out here tonight. It's a really nice night. It's like the middle of February and it's like 55 degrees right now. Can't beat it. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for taking the time. Stop by Don's Hot Rod Garage. This is what Big Don's doing tonight. Talking to you, talking to all my buddies. Catch you guys on the next video.